known as one of the greatest South African women's cricketers, and I've had the opportunity to know her for at least 15 years. I'm talking about Mignon du Preez, and what an honor it is to speak to her for Women's CricZone. Good to chat to you. You're looking great.
Hi, Kass. Thank you very much. You too.
I am looking at your career and I'm saying you're the Madonna of South African women's cricket. I mean, what a reinvention to where it all started to where it's come. Sitting here today, how are you feeling about who you have become in women's cricket?
Well, thank you, Kass. That's a big compliment. The Madonna of cricket. I actually like the sound of that. But I must say, I'm actually really at a stage. I think for me, turning 30, as I said, is all about, I want to have fun. This last few years of my cricket career, I want to make it the best. And I think that's kind of, when you get a little bit older, you realize that there's more to life than just cricket, but you can find a balance and enjoy it and make the most of it. And I think that's where I'm at the moment. I'm really hitting the ball well, which is a big plus for me, especially leading into such an important season like the World Cup next year that's just around the corner in Australia.
I want to go right back to Mignon du Preez as this young girl scoring a double hundred as a teenager. Did you ever think at the time that you'd be sitting at the age of 30 still playing this beautiful game and playing at the highest level?
I definitely hope so, because I think there is a little saying like behind this athlete we've become is a little girl that fell in love with the sport, and that's that little minx. And I think some of my stories actually a lot of them in my international career started with I wasn't supposed to play, because at that day when I scored the double century, the 258 not out in a 40 over game, I was actually not supposed to play. And then the night before, the coach phoned me and said, listen, one of the players pulled out. They've got an extra space. Can I play? And it was under 13 Gauteng versus Gauteng North. I played for Gauteng North. And what a day it was. And I think that was probably when I realized I would listen, this is something that I want to do for a living. I think that was when the penny dropped, that cricket is probably the route I would want to take. I've played lots of different sport growing up. My parents was really into, I need to do a little bit of everything. So it was softball and athletics and tennis and table tennis, gymnastics. The dancing side of things didn't really work out for me. My sister did that in ballet. But all in all, I think to be well-rounded was a big thing that my parents stood for. But then when that happened as a 13-year-old, I think they also realized like that is the career that's probably out there for me. Unfortunately, at that stage, women's cricket was still in the baby stages. But wow, I mean, we've come, like you mentioned, 15 years later, and look where we're at today. And I mean, women's cricket being a viable career option in South Africa, and that's amazing.
They say stats don't lie, and that is the one story that really got you into the media. I remember interviewing you. Your dad came along 2005. You were so nervous in this live interview. But even then, you said you wanted to make a difference in women's cricket. When you look back at that time and there wasn't much happening for women's cricket, what kept you going?
Yes, I think the passion and the love for the sport, I think that's a saying, we don't like cricket, we love it. And I think realizing that for me, it was my God-given talent, and I really wanted to use it to make a difference. And like you said, one of the big things that always stuck for me in my career is I wanted to leave a legacy or change cricket for the better. And I think that's one thing that we did do in South Africa. Fortunately, quite a few of our senior players have been there for a long time, and we've been from the amateur getting into semi-professional to the fully professional era. And I think this is still just the start. I think there's so much more and exciting stuff that's going to happen to the next generation. But to be part of at least and get to see a glimpse of it was absolutely amazing, and I'm really excited about the future. I think it looks really bright for women's cricket in South Africa.
Lots of youngsters making their debut around this time for South African women's cricket. What was it like for you when you debuted for the national team?
It's quite a while back. I'm just saying, I have to go back into the archives, but I mean, it was special. I know I made my debut against Pakistan in 2007 in South Africa. And it was, again, one of, like I mentioned before, one of the stories. I actually didn't initially make the team for South Africa, which was really sad because I felt like I really had a good season. I made the fitness requirements, and to not get or made the team initially was a bit tough for me, but then got a call up. Unfortunately, at that time, Chandra Fritz over the December holidays got injured, and then there was an opportunity for me to step up, and I didn't initially play. I was carrying drinks, and once eventually when I got my opportunity, I scored my debut 50 in that series and kind of then played ever since. But it was very special. At least high school sweetheart, just know my husband Tony, he was there, and my parents, which was probably the best that I could ask for.
I want to talk about Tony because he plays such a huge role in your life, in your career, and for you becoming the woman that you have. What does his support mean to you?
No, it's one of those things you can't put it into words. I mean, I'm really fortunate that I've married probably the world's best husband. I know every woman says that, but for me, I mean, we've been high school sweethearts. We dated since grade 11. He would love me to tell everybody that I chased after him. So that's a story for a different day. But all in all, my persistence kept going, and at least now I've got the ring on my finger, so it did work out. High school sweethearts, but I mean, he's been there through the whole journey, and he's really supported me to live this dream. And even now, he just kept telling me, like, he is not going to limit me. I can keep going until I'm flippin' grey. He doesn't care. He just wants me to be happy, and that helps. I think going away, it's not always easy. I mean, definitely since we got married in 2015 in December, it's been tough going on tours. It's not always easy being away from home for so long. But to know that he's really supporting me all the way, and he loves the fact that I'm living my dream makes it a lot easier. I just miss him a lot. But it is special. And I mean, he's a cricket fanatic. He's one of those guys. He'll get up in the middle of the night in December holiday time to watch the Ashes or wherever there's cricket around the world. He thinks it's fun and it's a date if he wakes me up at 4, and I don't always agree because I tell him, remember, cricket is my career. To you, it's hobby. So it's a bit different. So, but it is still special to have that moments and drink coffee together, and then I can just fall back to sleep on his lap or something.
We're going to talk about the highlights, but the lowlights are what a lot of people try to avoid. I like the fact that you've handled your lowlights well. What has been the toughest part of your cricket career to date?
Yeah, I think it's actually been pretty recently. I didn't have the best season last season, and I think for the first time I was actually on a tour in South Africa where we played against India, and I actually got dropped from the team, and I think that was really like it just kind of shook my world a little bit. I've been in the side we've just chatted since 2007, and up until then I haven't missed a game, and for me it was a big wake up call. I know it's where we're going, and there's so many talented players knocking on the door. So I knew I had to pull up my socks. But I think that was a little bit of a reality check, probably to just also see that day when I had to sing the anthem and no, I'm not going to take the field with the team really hurt. And I think that probably just made me realize how passionate I still am and how I just want to keep going and be better. And I think I did probably go back to the drawing board a little bit, find ways to just be better. And I think I could see I've didn't change much in the game because I've always been a hard worker. I think I've always had work ethic, but it was more just the mental side. And then I think ever since I turned 30, I think I keep on saying it, but then probably with age comes a little bit of wisdom, and I just got to this point where I realized I just want to have fun, and if I'm going to be tense and worry about sitting on the sideline, I'm probably going to be there more often than not because I'm not going to be able to play with freedom. And I think that's something that I just want to leave with the young girls out there. If they can actually find a way to just have fun and play for the little girl that fell in love with the sport, it will keep you going so much longer. So I think it's not always easy. International cricket, there's a lot of pressure, but to try and park that, and at the end of the day, we're doing it because we love it and we just want to go out there. And for me, I realize the biggest thing, it's my talent, and I want to give God glory by just playing and having fun.
You talk about being dropped. Was that tougher than relinquishing the captaincy? Because I know leadership is a big thing, and not many leaders who lose the captaincy still go on to do better things.
Yeah, I think it's probably also one of the lowlights that was right up there. But I think for me, maybe lowlight's not even the word, because I think the timing was probably right. It was just after I got married in the 2016 career season, I realized I've got new responsibilities being a wife, and also my priorities changed a bit. I wanted to spend more time with the family, but reality was also we had a chat with the management, and at that point in my career, my batting was suffering a little bit. The personality I have, I'm really quite a busy person, but for me, it was challenging to put captaincy aside when I had to go out and bat. While I was batting, I was still thinking about who's going to bowl where and which field am I going to set, and if all my players are okay. And I struggled to sometimes put that aside when batting, and I think my batting average then suffered a little bit under that. So I think the timing, I always knew that I'm still going to be in the team as an experienced player, and Danae at that time, she was still really young, and I felt like I can still give her some advice while I'm still there with her. But I mean, she's done a fantastic job, and then to take over and take us to the World Cup, getting us into that semi-final, I think she's done a glorious job with the captaincy thereafter. But they say just to still be part of the setup, and like you mentioned, there's different ways of leading, and I think I can still lead in my own way, even though I don't have to be a captain. But I still want to offer the youngsters some of my experiences that I've picked up along the way.
So when you are in these low moments, what is that big highlight? You say, I'm down now, but I remember that day when I had the best day of my cricket career.
Well, from an individual point of view, I think one of the biggest highlights was probably scoring a maiden test 100 in Mysore in India against India. It was the first one I actually played in. There was one other test in the Netherlands in my first year that I was involved in, but I was carrying drinks, so it was not really the best time of my life. I just did fielding and I couldn't bat, and I think so. This one was really special, and to do it in India, where I mean, they're such passionate fans, and to do it around here was really special. But then another one would have to be there's two actually for the team. So when I was still captain in 2014, when we kicked out New Zealand to make it into the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup for the first time, I think that was really special. So just how the girls really there was something we've worked so hard for, and to finally just stepping up that level. We've always just been mediocre, but then it was when we stepped up. We felt for a long time we came to World Cups making up numbers, and that was where we really competed. And ever since then obviously the 2017 World Cup, getting into the semi-final and actually getting so close, 2 balls would have been a different story. But I mean, for us, I think it's amazing how we've grown as players, and excited to see what the next few years are going to hold for us as a team.
So here you are in 2019 with lots of good things happening for you. You've signed an MRF bat sponsorship. You are in the leagues around the world. You're still playing for South Africa. Do you pinch yourself sometimes to think, here you are, Minx, living your best life?
Definitely, I think it's absolutely amazing. This, sometimes when you're on the treadmill and you're sweating and you're doing a fitness test, running the yo-yo, you think, "Why am I doing this?" But then when you look up and you realize, "But this." If I then chat to Tony and he's like, "Listen, I've been up at 4:30 this morning, driving to office, again got stuck in traffic. Then I had to be in the office the whole day, and I look at the cricket field and I think this is my office." I mean, you can't really ask for anything better than that.
So where does the Madonna of South African women's cricket go from here? Because you're hitting the ball really well. You look like you've really reinvented yourself. What goals have you set for yourself in the immediate future?
Well, in the immediate future, I just kind of want to keep doing what I'm doing. I think it really worked pretty well for me in the Kia Super League and in the first game. Unfortunately, in the second one, but I just want to keep on having fun and playing without fear of failure and hitting the ball as hard as I can. But for me, in the near future, after this tour, I'm going to the Women's Big Bash and playing for the Melbourne Stars again, which is really exciting. And then, obviously, we've got a pretty exciting, busy season ahead next year. But obviously, with that World Cup in Australia, I would want to be part of the team and actually help take the team all the way to the final. And who knows, maybe at the MCG, full stadium. I know that's a world record they're aiming for, and to lift a World Cup trophy, that would be something really special. So that's in the near future for me now.
I know it's tough to step into the shoes of a legend, but when you do eventually move on, who do you see as the next Mignon du Preez of South African women's cricket?
Oh wow, no, that's tough, Kass. Putting me on the spot there. There's quite a few exciting names. I think somebody that really, I mean, Laura Wolford, in the small time that she's been there, to see what she's done already as such a youngster. I mean, I think she's like averaging like in the high 40s in ODIs, and she's insane. And I can see she's working on the T20 format. The one thing that I would love to see her play Test cricket, because she's the only person that's ever told me she's more scared of fielding than actually batting. And I mean, where does that come from? Like, she just loves batting so much. So I think she might be somebody to have an eye out for in the near future.
I like making interviews tough because I know how experienced you are sitting here in front of the camera. But what is the one thing you know now about your game that you wished you knew when you debuted? Because when you start, things are so tough. But right now, 12 years down the line, having played for the team for so long, what do you know about yourself?
I think the biggest thing is not to overthink. I mentioned before that I'm a really busy person naturally. So sometimes to just actually, while I'm batting, to settle down and not have my mind raised like a hamster on a wheel. That's probably the biggest thing. And two things that I've changed recently that's really helped, I've mentioned it before in an interview, is just actually telling myself, watch the ball, but continuously before I bat. So there's no time for my head to go spinning and to overthink. It's basically, you're just playing the ball on merit, see ball, hit ball kind of thing. And then probably looking at an area rather than thinking about a specific shot. So identifying where my gap is, but not really thinking of a specific shot to that gap. There can be a few different options. So I'm not limiting myself, but I realize that if I want to hit it to deep square, I might have to change my body or use my crease. But I'm not limiting myself to one specific shot and still play the ball on merit.
Lastly, what is your advice to young girls who want to make a career out of women's cricket? Because we're in an upward trajectory, I think, globally now, and there's a great opportunity to make a name for yourself.
Well, firstly, I think if your dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. So that's something that I want to tell them. I want to tell them they need to dream big. When we started, women's cricket was still seen as a male-dominant sport, and that's changed. And that's nice because they don't have to change the perception. It's already changed. So they can just go out there and be the best version of themselves. And then that little thing, like just always remember why you fell in love with the sport, because that would just light that fire again and keep you going.
Such great inspiration from you. And having interviewed you over the years, I think this was the best interview because you're really finding yourself. And I think we are yet to see the best of Mignon du Preez.
Thank you, Kaz. I really like the sound of that, and I'll keep on prophesying that over my life because I'm excited. I also think the time ahead is exciting. Where women's cricket is at globally, it's just an amazing time, and I'm really fortunate that I can still be with part of it for the next few years.
Well, I certainly hope you've enjoyed this interview here on Women's CricZone. Mignon du Preez, an absolute superstar. And as I've said, we haven't seen the best of the Madonna of South African women's cricket.